Hi, Misha here, and now that work has at least ceased to be insanity, I have a little time for personal videos, but I haven't had time to really get notes down for new stuff, so thought I would revisit the Lockheed F35 Lightning II. And in the past, I have done a video on the history of the entire series, and I did a video on this plane here. This is a 1/7/2 scale diecast model of an F-35B from the U.S. Marine Corps. This one was made by Air Force One, and I did a video comparing it with the Hobbymaster offering. And today, I thought I would do much the same, comparing the Hobbymaster F-35C with the Air Force One F-35C. These are the Naval variants, the carrier-based variants, and I'll show you why I've been eyeballing, well, not literally because I don't have eyeballs, but I've been wanting to get the Air Force One version for a couple of reasons, but in the past held off doing so. Well, a couple weeks ago I just did. And so, yeah, we'll talk about what I like about each and kind of my feelings. But of course, let's talk a little bit about the history on the F-35C specifically. The original prototype for the carrier-based version in the Joint Strike Fighter Program, JSF, was first seen in December of 2000. And in a way, it was kind of the least important version. The F-35A for the U.S. Air Force was also really going to be the primary export because it was the conventional takeoff and landing version. The F-35B was of great interest to not only the U.S. Marine Corps but also the British RAF and Royal Navy, and they were instrumental in its development. If anything, the 35B was kind of the driving force, and really in some areas where the Lightning shows how revolutionary it is. Sorry, I had a box follow me. Get away. So much packing stuff out here right now. So really the A and the B were getting primary concern. With the C really only of interest to the U.S. Navy, and even then a lot in the Navy weren't just all that keen on it. The A first flew in 2006. The 35C would not fly, at least production version wouldn't really fly, until June 6th, 2010, and then it would begin simulated carrier takeoff and landings, and they found a major problem with the arrestor hook, or what they call the Kato or Keto bar system that it uses, which is basically a advanced fancy pants tail hook. So they identified these problems during simulations of takeoff and landings in 2011, and it took a couple of years to get a new system developed, and it was first delivered to the Navy in 2013, and then in November of 2014 they began their first testing, carrier takeoff and landings, also day operations. When this was completed, they kind of went into phase 2 in 2015, testing nighttime capabilities, starting to test various weapons loads, yada yada. Now at this point the A and the B were already getting close to initial operational readiness, so the C was behind them. 2016, the third and more or less final round of trials began. And then In 2018, they're getting ready to go. And then on February 28th of 2019, so just over a year ago, it was declared initially ready. There was the first squadron, which both of these models are from. It was declared ready to go and went on its first cruises. And that's pretty much where we're at. In all, 500 F-35s have now been built as of March of 2020, so this month. But of those, most are going to be of the A variant, with a much smaller but still significant number being the B. The U.S. government plans to purchase over 2,600 Lightnings, and of those, around 1,800 will be the A. The Marine Corps plans to purchase up to 340 Bs. And the Navy is planning on purchasing 260 Cs. It's also worth pointing out that the Marine Corps does plan to purchase 80 F-35Cs, so they can station up to 5 squadrons on carriers to work alongside the U.S. Navy, giving the Bs more of a land-based role. So we're only looking at about 340 total F-35Cs to be produced. So what is the C? Well, it's a carrier-based version, to put it bluntly. It differs. It's very similar to the A, whereas of course the B is capable of vertical takeoff and landing or short takeoff and landing. The C is more conventional, but of course it does have that Kato bar, and it's designed to be launched with a catapult. The A and the B both have a 35-foot wingspan, whereas the C has a 43-foot wingspan, so 8 foot wider. This is actually the most fuel efficient of all the wings. It also has a larger tail. It's slightly longer, not by much, but slightly longer than the A or the B. And it carries the most fuel, nearly 20,000 pounds of it. And it has a larger weapons capacity. It can carry more weight than the B. It also has a double-wheeled front gear for carrier takeoff and landings. And this is one reason I wanted the Air Force One model. It has folding wingtips. This is to give a little more space on deck and to make it easier to fit on carrier elevators, giving it a pretty compact size. See? One of the hard points will be on the folded up part with the other two under the wings. And then of course we have 4 hard points and 2 internal bays. It can carry 4,000 pounds in those internal bays, whereas the B can only carry 2,000 pounds in the internal bays. The B here has the standard wing. Doesn't fold. But of course it has all the fancy fan system. The A's have an internal 25mm cannon with 180 rounds. The C's and the B's do not. But on the other hand, in 2018, a pod was released for these, which gave a 25mm cannon with 220 rounds. Sorry, 220. And here it is here. This pod can also carry, instead of a gun, electronic gear, what have you, radar equipment. So yeah, here's the inside. So why did I want the Air Force One? Well, because it had the folding wingtips, frankly. The Hobbymaster does not. And the reason Hobbymaster doesn't have the folding wingtips, they say, is because of the seam lines. You really can't have the folding mechanism and not have a small gap or whatnot on a model of this size. So it's kind of a compromise. You can have the features, or you can have the really authentic look. Hobbymaster goes for the authentic look. Air Force One usually goes for more of the features. They do the same with their X-47 UCAV. Also, I have the Chinese J-15, which is a copy of the Sukhoi Su-33, which is kind of the same situation. The Hobbymaster 33 does not have folding tips, but the Air Force One does. So since I did that, I decided to go ahead and display this one for ones with wheel down. I do like how Air Force One does their wheels. It's one piece, like a lot of Hobbymasters too. Their weapons bays are one piece too for whatnot. They also have the tail hook, the Kato bar, where you can display it either in or out, up or down. So I've done that. And then they have the pod. You can display center line. So yeah. Also, the ordnance is removable. Plugs in. So what do I think comparing this to the Hobbymaster? There's definitely pros and cons. The same as when I talked about the 35B. The Hobbymaster has better detail. It has hidden screw heads. And it's just a overall better quality model. But it also costs more. The Air Force One has the folding wingtips and is a heavier model. This thing is nearly entirely metal. When you pick it up, it's very weighty. The Hobbymaster, while still die-cast, to get all the detail they want, even though the main body and everything is metal, it does have more plastics, more polymers in it. So it is a lighter feeling model. Also, the ordnance where they plug in is a little touchier. The Air Force One ordnance is very solid. Probably not as authentic looking, but they have very large slots that they plug in that are very secure. Both have pilots, although the Air Force One is a pretty basic little dude. Nothing fancy, but he's there, I guess. The Hobbymaster pilot has more detail. also, whereas on the Air Force One, the canopy is closed. On the Hobbymaster, you can display it either open or closed, and you can display it with or without the pilot figure in the cockpit. On the Air Force One, he's just in there. If I said in Hobbymaster, yeah. So you have more cockpit options. Both come with ordnance, but you don't really get sets. You just get one set. This one has this 2 missiles and 4 bombs, plus the internal bay. The Air Force One is similar, but a little bit different on the inner points. See that? And again, like I said, it has exposed screw heads, which is kind of not awesome, but it is what it is. This has rolling wheels, though, which is, I guess, neat. And their B is pretty neat, too, the way they did it. I do like the stands that Air Force One comes with. I think they're better than Hobbymasters. They're metal and they screw together, so very secure. This is neat. It's got the fan does turn. Of course, you can display this all closed up. I just have it in the landing takeoff mode for fun, really. I do like how the engine in the back is one piece with its doors. On the Hobbymaster version, that's multiple pieces and just a little more fidgety. So the Air Force One's a little easier to convert modes. So yeah, that's what I would say. Hobbymaster has a few more options and better detail, but is a little more delicate and a little lighter weight. The Air Force One, a little cruder, a little chunkier, a little less detailed, but a heavier model, and kind of easier to put together or convert however you might like. You know, gears up and down, ordnance on, off. So it's kind of up to you what you prefer. Honestly, they're both really neat models. For me, I really like the folding wingtips, but you have to be fair that when they're down, they do leave a seam, a gap, whatnot. So there is a trade-off to it. I usually on the shelf have this one with the tips up because it looks better that way. But the Hobbymaster, of course, since it's one piece, looks identical to the real thing, with just a slight little gap in the ailerons there and all that good stuff. So yeah, I just thought I'd do a little quick comparison and kind of do an update to the 35C since I have visited the B, or revisited the B. Which one do you like better, the Air Force One or the Hobbymaster? Hard for me to really decide. So in the end, the best answer is usually get them both. Alright folks, I think I'll call it a night. Any questions or comments, please post them below. Greatly appreciate you tuning in, and I'll catch you very soon next time.